Hey y'all, figured I had a decent response about the alligator gar rigging stuff, and white bass season's coming. The white bass run is starting, which is their spawn. They start running up our creeks and rivers to lay eggs, but they eat the whole way there and back, and pretty prolific spawners and come in by the hundreds, if not thousands, depending on where you are, maybe more even. So yeah, I figured I'd talk about the rigging I like to do for my setups, and I've been chasing them since I was 10 and with a fly rod for like 15 years. So share a little bit of my expertise about the white bass run in Texas, I guess. Also, I've never done it really in any other state, but I'm sure it correlates. Their fish and temperature and water drives them into spawn. You're looking for water over 55. A push of water is better, but at least having some type of flow. So like after a rain, they'll definitely push up your creek or river, especially if you're on the headwaters of a lake that has white bass in it, or below a dam that does, and they'll be in that river and run up to the dam there. Yeah, so figured I'd cover just my setups and stuff. So number one, rod rigging, or rod choice, rod selection. You can use anything from a 0 weight to 7 weight if you want to, but primarily I would recommend a 4 weight or a 5 weight, and that just generally is going to depend on type of water you're fishing, size of fish, how much your flows, how heavy your flows are, and all that stuff. And that'll kind of help you pick it out. But you can go as light as I throw 2 weights at them when I find like a good pocket of them, and just have fun with it. It's up to you. But if you're being serious about it, trying to probe around and catch 100 of them, a 4 weight or a 5 weight's gonna get it done, or a 6 weight with a sinking line, or even a 7 weight if you're having heavier flows and you need to get down deep on them. So yeah, then from there, float line generally is gonna work, especially lower flows later in the season. 4 weight with a float, 5 weight with a float, 9 foot leader, Clouser minnow or something about 2-3 inch range that's wide, or chartreuse typically is the go-to thing. You can even throw little mini micro game changers at them. But play with it. They're bait fish eaters. Look at what the conventional guys are throwing, usually little marabou jigs and stuff like that. So have fun with it. And then yeah, from there, early season like now, where there's not a whole lot of fish in there, water's a little cooler, especially if you're in the north part of Texas. You may want an intermediate line, or a 3 second sink tip, or a full sink for your 5 weight or whatever. Probably a 6 second full sink or something like that. And then yeah, I'll usually do a 6 weight setup for my sinking line, or a 5 weight, just a little heavier rod to kind of push the flies over. But yeah, not too complicated. If you have an 8 weight, it'll work, but it won't be as sporty. You can pretty much pull them right in, lift them up, put them in the boat. Maybe a little fly out of it, but not that crazy. Uh, and then from there, yeah, fly Clousers, double rig Clousers, great option. Like going on this rod, if I could not break the rod tip. You see, I got a blue one, chartreuse one, drop, about 18 to 2 foot behind the fly. You can even instead do a popper dropper if you want, especially later in season when they're really fired up. Your water's warmer, pushing 62, 65 degrees. The magic number is 62 degrees. That's when they are definitely starting to lay eggs and stuff like that. But yeah, popper dropper can work. Maybe they'll crush the top water. They're less likely to, but you'll see some schooling action happen depending on where you are and what part of the run, and how thick the shad are wherever you are. But it's definitely doable. Even the crappie will get in on it. And then yeah, some of the sinking lines, not brand specific, but the, just some ideas for you. I guess it's in reverse for the camera, but 6 weight, 3 second, 5 weight, full sink, stuff like that. 6 weight reel, full sink line. Have fun, catch them. And if you get into them real thick and you have a 2 weight or a double 0 weight or something like that, throw it out and have some fun. Uh, Other than that, yeah, the leaders for your sink tip also change. You can go a lot shorter with sinking lines. The sinking line's going to pull your fly down and kind of hold it in place, depending on if it's a full sink or a sink tip or whatever. It'll be something like that, hinging it. Just ways to think about it. So you don't need that 9 foot leader because of that. You need maybe a 6 foot or a 7 foot, or even down to a 3 foot if you're like trying to just bring it down real deep with a heavy clouser. And then, yeah, playing with the weight of your fly also. With a sinking line, sometimes you can go with a lighter fly instead of a heavier fly. Just because of the way it's pulling the fly down, you don't actually need it to be rubbing on the bottom and hanging stuff the whole time. You could even sink topwater flies and divers and things like that. And shorter leaders like 3 foot or 4 foot or 5 foot are going to be really more what you want to use. Doesn't mean you might want to use a 9 foot, just depends. But generally, yeah, not almost never using a longer leader with a sinking line. So something to keep in mind when you're fishing your sinking lines. You don't have to get that store bought 9 foot leader or whatever you tie. Go the shorter, even one piece of 12 pound or whatever. Something like that'll work great. 10 pound great as well. Sometimes it is nice to use lighter tibbet because of just you're gonna break it off sometimes on trees and things like that, or bend your hooks out. And your choice. You can either break your line or bend your hook out. But yeah, holler, go catch some fish. The yellow bass will be in the mix depending on where you are too. Kind of same idea, but they might be in the slower pocket water. Crappie, yeah, they'll kind of get off to the side in deep pockets with structure, especially, but they kind of move in and they'll push through until they find their spawning area, and then they'll post up and lay their eggs and all that stuff. Then they'll leave and head back to the lake as it warms up. But they kind of trickle back in. It's not like they all just out of there. So you can find them if you look around and maybe get a little lucky too. Off the top of my head, that's all I can think of. Good luck out there. Go catch them. And if you want to shortcut it, just book with me. Flyfishingwithdanny.com. I do trips all over Dallas. We hit the Brazos Run. We hit some of the creeks around here that run into the big lakes like Louisville, Hubbard. Then I'm born and raised on the San Jacinto River system and fish all over all those creeks around North Houston too. The run starts there earlier, so yeah, holler if you want to get in on it. Other than that, good luck out there. Catch some fish.